Hey guys, another video for our Nature and Environment in Japan playlist. As you guys would know, Hokkaido is the northernmost part of Japan. As a result, it gets between 4 and 15 meters of snow in winter, and temperatures go down to minus 15 degrees. So that's why we came in spring, because we figured that it would be easier to travel around without the snow on the road. Interestingly though, we can still see the signs of how much snow they get. So for example, on the left hand side there you could see that fence running along, which is going to start again in a moment. That's to help reduce the amount of snow drift that's blowing across the road. So you can imagine if they're getting 4 to 15 meters of snow a year, that the snow drifts would be constantly blowing onto the road and they'd be constantly removing it. So they put those fences up to try and reduce how much snow comes. So these are everywhere. So obviously Hokkaido has all these big open spaces that we've been showing you in previous videos. Result of that, of course, is they get some serious wind and some serious snow drifting. So interesting, isn't it? And these just go forever. These barriers just go on and on and on. And most of them seem to be sort of permanently fixed. However, these ones seem to have the ability to be open. Don't know why they do that, but these ones are sort of open to let the wind through, or for some reason. And this was sort of a natural version of that. So both sides of this were big open areas, big open fields, and they'd planted these trees, 2 or 3 trees thick, little forest along both sides of the road, which clearly seemed to be as a natural barrier against the snow to protect the road, which is a good idea, isn't it? So whether they harvest those trees, we've showed you the big timber industry in Japan, in Hokkaido already, so maybe they harvest those trees as well. This is the other interesting thing. See these arrows above the road? So the idea of that, of course, is once you cover the road with a metre or so of snow, you can't see the edges of the road anymore. So those arrows up on the poles above the road are to show you where the edge of the road is. So you can imagine if everything was white, the whole countryside was white, you'd just be following those arrows to stay on the road. So here we've got the barrier fence there on the left, and we've got the arrows above the road showing us where the edge of the road is. So obviously at the moment we don't need them because we can see the road, but you can just imagine in winter, those barriers that have snow a couple of meters up the side of them, the road would be covered in white. You wouldn't be able to see where the edge was, so you'd just be following these arrows. Amazing, isn't it? Just imagine. We would like to come back in winter and see all this. But we just know from what we're seeing that there'd be a lot of these places that we've been and that we're showing you that we wouldn't be able to get to in winter. As we'll show you shortly, there's a lot of road barriers that we can see where they just close roads, and we see it on the news every year. There'll be roads get shut down with cars on them, and they have to go and rescue the people out of the cars, and we see that on the news every year. So this is what's happening in Hokkaido this week, so we're fully aware of that, which is why we didn't go in winter, because we wanted to get right around the place and have a good look around, which we just couldn't do if half the roads were closed and there's meters of snow everywhere. Not real practical for driving a camper van either, obviously. Isn't it amazing? So whether these are solar powered or not, but they were just flashing constantly. The other thing that we saw, what we didn't enjoy very much, the condition of the roads. Usually in Honshu, the roads are usually kept in really good condition. However, Hokkaido, because of the snow and ice, it just destroys the roads. The snow and the ice destroys the roads. And then we saw a lot of road work. They're obviously trying to repair the worst parts of it, but they've only got a few months to repair it all, and then it gets snow and ice again. So the condition of the roads was really bad. It was one thing we didn't enjoy. We absolutely love Hokkaido, but these roads were just terrible. Huge potholes in them, really bad condition. Most of the time, not always. There were some pieces of road that were quite nice, but the majority of it was pretty rough. This is another interesting thing too. On Honshu, usually the fire hydrants are actually underground, and they have like a manhole cover that you've got to lift to get the fire hydrant, but of course that wouldn't work when the ground's covered in snow. So they put the tall sign there, a couple of meters in the air, and then the fire hydrant not buried in the ground so that the firefighters can get to it if they need to. So that stood out to us because we don't normally see that. The other thing is the design of the buildings. So interesting, the sort of European style, isn't it? You know, no roof gutters, of course, because usually if you have roof gutters on a roof that gets covered in snow, it'll just rip the roof gutters off, won't it? So no roof gutters and real European style roofs to deal with all the snow. Interesting, living on Honshu, visiting Hokkaido, all these things stood out to us because it's just really different from what we experience. That house we just saw there with the ladder going up to the roof so you can get up there and clear his snow off. So it's interesting, without having the snow there, we could see all these things that were there because of the snow. How beautiful is that scenery there, by the way? What a beautiful, beautiful place Hokkaido is. Here's another thing we don't see on Honshu, garages. So garages were really, really common. Obviously, if you've got a few meters of snow and minus 15 degrees, you want to get the vehicles inside if you can. So garages were really, really common, which really, again, really stood out to us because we don't see them on Honshu usually, not so common. So like, check it out, they've almost all got garages, almost. So that was interesting for us too. So this is right up in the north. This is almost the most northern point where we are here. Oh, traffic lights. Usually on Honshu the traffic lights run horizontally. However, up there they put them vertically so that they don't get such a build-up of snow on them, don't get so heavy from the snow. So they have them vertical instead of horizontal. There's another one of the fences, but what we actually want to show you here is the barriers to close the road. So these are really common. We saw these as further we got north, or the closer we got to mountains, the more you saw these. So it really gives you a bit of an idea what it must be like in winter. There must be a lot of roads closed where you just can't get to where you want to go. So it made us sort of aware that, yeah, we were wise to come in spring because winter, a lot of these places that we're showing you, we just might not be able to get to. Probably the most spectacular thing we saw as far as the snow thing, this is out in the middle of nowhere, right up the north, and there's a big sign up saying emergency shelter. So you can imagine if it's blowing serious wind and it's serious snow and the road's getting deeper and deeper, you can pull your vehicle into this shelter and shelter from the conditions. Emergency shelter it was called, emergency road shelter. Isn't that amazing? I mean, this is right up the north. So down in the south, we didn't see any of that. But up the north, we saw a couple of them. Here's another one out in a big open area where you can imagine the snow would be blowing around quite a bit. And you can see there's not a tunnel because you can see it's got like a sunroof, right? Let the sun in, let the light in. But again, it said the same thing. There was a big sign that said emergency road shelter. So you can just imagine if the road's got to a point where it's impassable, you can drive your car in here and shelter from the conditions. Gives you a bit of an idea how intense it is, doesn't it? Life-threatening, in fact. Anyway, there was that. More videos coming soon.